For those of you who are unfamiliar with film, film is a photographic medium that records images using light-sensitive chemicals instead of a digital sensor. Film works when photons hit the light-sensitive crystals on the film and cause a chemical change in the film that creates what's called a latent image. That latent image becomes an actual image when the film is developed in film processing chemicals. This video discusses My Heart 200, which alternately calls itself professional film and Barbie film, and looks at how to use it, the film's characteristics, technical details, well, not really because there are no technical details on this, and provides sample images. My Heart 200 is a medium film rated at 200 ISO, which is 24 DIN. The rated ISO is based on whatever is under the My Heart stickers, and we'll get to that in just a moment. My Heart 200 is available only in 35mm. We're going to talk a little bit later in this video about what My Heart actually is, and it's one of two different stocks in the 15 or 20 rolls of it that I've gone through. I got about half of it. I got 10 rolls. It was Lucky brand color film, and that performed great. And then I got another 10 rolls and two groups of 5, and they were Fuji film. And as the stuff in the Fuji film cassettes performs worse than standard Fuji film, so I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that in all probability the Fuji that they're using is expired stock. Don't have evidence to it, but the film certainly performs like expired Superior 200. For tonality and range, acutance, contrast, sharpness, dynamic range, all of the image characteristics we talk about, this film is poor, especially the stuff that comes out of the Fuji cassettes. It is bottom barrel film poor. Like, it's worse than store brand film. The only thing I can imagine is that that's because the film is probably expired. Now, My Heart is simply a repackaging exercise. It brands itself online on the auction listings and the Alibaba listings as Barbie film, and the packaging is covered in hearts. That said, I have to imagine that My Heart is not an officially licensed Mattel product. I'm just reporting the way that they market themselves. They sell it for cheap. It's marketed as a cheap film, and it's available exclusively in China and through Alibaba and sometimes eBay, and I picked mine up on Alibaba. Alternately, the packaging also says professional film, so it's a bit of a confused marketing effort, to be kind. For good uses for this film, I think the only good uses for this film are to give it to film photographers who you don't like. In terms of digital conversion, it performs about on par with any consumer-grade C41 film. All of the technical stuff, the spectral sensitivity, characteristic curve, the contrast curve, reciprocity failure, development latitude, none of that's available. And it honestly wouldn't matter because this film's just repacks of other stock. So while today it might be Fuji 200, in 3 years or 6 days or tomorrow, it could be something completely different. It's just a repackaging exercise. As for recommended camera settings for this, just shoot it at the rated ISO or slower. Don't push the film for any reason. I also recommend not having any actual camera settings with this film and instead buying something else. My Heart has a secret for you. You see how the packaging says professional film? That's a lie. That's so far from the truth that this can't even be considered marketing truth. See how the packaging says My Heart? That's a lie. There is no such thing as My Heart film. There is Lucky 200, or there was until the stockpile ran out. There's also Fuji Superior 200, likely expired, based on how this stock performs, that is. My Heart is not a film. My Heart is a repack. And I bring this up because a number of recent films have come to market, which I say in gigantic air quotes, are actually repacks of other stock. Now, repacks aren't a new thing. Ultrafine, Arista, all store brand films ever. These are all repacks. And I don't even have an issue with repacks as long as there is some transparency about what they are, even if it's an unofficial wink and a nod. But in general, given the choice between buying the actual brand and a repack, the actual brand is typically better, even if it costs more money. Now, back in the day, this is the 70s, 80s, and 90s that we're talking about, repacks like store brands were often film stock that had expired prior to being sold by the manufacturer. And so it was liquidated to stores as their store brand for a low price sale. I've started at the front of these videos sharing screen grabs of the Dexter search results for a film type's barcode number. Dexter's not 100% complete, and there are some data gaps, but at least with this stock, you can see up front that Dexter concurs with the labeling under the My Heart stickers. For My Heart, the Lucky repacks had 36 exposures, and the Fuji have 17 to 19. Some Fuji boxes are marked at 18 exposures. Fine, close enough. Some of them are marked as 24 or 27. Now, one thing about this film is that even when the packaging indicates 24 or 27, that still only has about 18 exposures. I ran into these shorter than stated rolls with a 5-pack of Fuji relabels that I bought indicating 27 frames, but only having 17. And this is something that you can get from repacks, is that they don't have a brand to protect. They're just whatever is on this box's label. And because it's cheap, people don't really care. But what happens is if a roll of film has 18 shots and it costs $5, which this stuff did, then actually, no, wait, it's $10 for a roll of 36. And that gets pretty expensive for a consumer grade or less than consumer grade film. When looking at some of these cheaper films that don't have the brand cachet or the brand protection needs that the quality films have, just start looking at what the cost per click is and the cost per frame and things like that to see if the less expensive film is actually as good a deal as it seems like it is. Just because the sticker price is lower doesn't mean that the actual cost will be lower. The My Heart that was repackaged, Lucky, was great. Lucky's color film was a really nice performer. I liked it a lot, and unfortunately, it's been out of production for a number of years. I'm told that the Lucky SHD 100 black and white is back in production, and I've started seeing some new stock coming in. In fact, I was able to pick some of that up again, so it looks like there might still be some life left in the Lucky factory. So hopefully, maybe someday the Lucky color film will come back. When the Lucky color film went out of production, whomever is making this My Heart stock must have picked up a bunch of Fuji 200 for repackaging. The Fuji seems to have been shortened. The cassettes for the Fuji said 36 or 24, depending on which group of 5 they came in. I bought 2 groups of 5 of the Fuji. But that said, all of the Fuji rolls that I shot had 17 exposures, and that's about half the length of a 36 exposure roll. So it seems that the current My Heart stock, which is only intermittently available anyway, is simply halved rolls of likely expired Fuji 200 Superia. So while I can peel off the My Heart label, and I can say with certainty that this stuff is either Lucky or Fuji, and almost certainly at this point just Fuji, I can't say with 100% certainty that it's expired, just that the Fuji My Heart that I have used performs a whole lot, maybe exactly identically, yes, exactly identically to the way that expired Superior 200 that I've used performs. Now look, here's the thing. I know this is my second All About film in a row that looks at throwaway film stock. This is not a new pattern for the series, I promise. But these videos that look at low-end or low-quality film are intended to serve as a warning not to buy just any old film because it's there or has a different label or it's new. That's the warning. It is important to try different film stocks, different types, different ISOs, different manufacturers, but it's more important to have 3 or 5 film stocks that you know how to use well and consistently. Your go-to stockpile, the heavy hitters that you use 80 or 90% of the time, if not more. And once you have that, knowing how to use one example each of a quality, slow, medium, and fast film in black and white and color will really set you up to maximize your photography and your image's quality as part of your whole portfolio and body of work. There's a place for experimenting, definitely, but don't have that place be exclusively or even in any kind of significant percentage with low-end unknown films. Make the most of your film dollars. Once you know how to shoot film, once you understand the basic principles, skip the cheap unknown film stocks. Use the quality stocks to refine your skills because the nicer films cost. The more expensive films cost will hang over your head like a sword of Damocles, and you will learn more, better, and faster for it. These videos all have a reference list, and they're largely similar across the series. Those references are not always just for the film stock, but for film photography resources in general. So use those resources as well as this channel to learn about your film, your successes, and your mistakes. And of course, use this channel, use our community as another resource to learn about your film photography and improve your own work.